Hi there! In today's video, I will create a website with C++. Yes, you heard me right. Now, C++ isn't really a common language for making a website, at least I don't think so. But if you take a look at the name of this channel, you will realize that we don't conform to traditions around here. So let's do it anyway. Now, the thing is, I have never in my life written a line of C++, although I guess technically C++ could be considered a line of C++. Anyway, luckily I can ask help from my good friend ChatGPT. So let's do it. I want to create a website with C++. Can you help me? It is not typically used to create website directly. Instead, it is often used to create backend services that power websites. Well, that's what I actually mean. If you want to create a website with C++, you will likely need to use additional technologies in addition to C++. For example, you could use a web framework such as WT, pronounced Witty, which is a C++ library that allows you to create web applications with C++. Okay, well, what I had in mind was that I could create the HTML dynamically with C++. So let's try to do that. Can I create a C++ application that will output HTML and then pipe that output into a web server's output? Alright, here we have some instructions now. Now, I don't want instructions, I want code. Can you give me an example code in C++ that would output some HTML? Sure, here's an example of C++ program that generates some HTML. Okay, this looks very fun. As you may notice, it is not the most elegant way of generating HTML. It can become difficult to maintain and read more complex pages. Well, it's good to know that ChatGPT tries to tell you nicely that this is a stupid idea. Now let's try to make this code actually work. So I will copy this code and paste it into a file. What is the extension for C++? Alright, here we have the code. Now, what do I do with this code? I guess I have to compile it. How do I compile the code? Alright, here we have an explanation. So I just used the G++ command. Let me see if I have that on my computer. And my neighbors are cutting down a tree. I hope you cannot hear that. So let's try. G++ O website app.cpp. Something happened. I didn't get any errors. Let's see. I have a website now. Alright, let's run this website. I guess I just do this. Ha! It works! My very first C++ program. I'm excited. Now, I guess we could do like this and do website.html, and then we could just open the website in Firefox. Yes, now we have a website. Now, this is just the HTML for a website. This is not really what I want to do, but anyway, technically this counts as a website made in C++. But now let's take this a bit further. How could I have a server running at localhost that would go to this executable? Let's ask ChatGPT. Thanks, I got the code to work. My very first C++ program. How could I direct HTTP traffic to this executable on localhost 8085, let's say? Great, I'm glad you got the code working. You will need a web server. Alright, one way to do this would be to use a reverse proxy server, such as Apache or NGINX. I'm not very well versed with NGINX, but I guess it's always good to learn something new. So, should I install NGINX? Let's see, how long does it take for me to install NGINX? How can I install NGINX? Alright, here we have the instructions for all the operating systems. So I'm on Linux, so I will just use this command. And then that's it. It's installed. What does this do? It gives me an error because I have Apache installed already. But now let's go back to this code here. Copy this. Where should I put the NGINX configuration that you gave me? I guess I should tell it that I'm using Linux. Okay, it is in this folder. Let's see what we have here. All kinds of settings. I think I will just replace this HTTP configuration here. I'm just guessing, I don't know. And I realized that this is not actually what I was trying to make, because this just passes the port 80 to port 8085. But how do I get the program to run from this port? Okay, I got NGINX installed. How can I make it so that when you go to localhost 8085, it will run my C++ application? Okay, now this looks a little bit better, but there's still nothing that will direct it to the app. You will also need to configure your C++ application to listen on port 8085. You can use a library like Boost.Asio to handle. Okay, so let's call this port something else, 8084. So now if I go to 8084, it should redirect to 8085, and then my app should listen at 8085, so then it will pass its output to NGINX. Great. Can you write the code that would make the C++ app listen to port 8085? Sure. Now it uses this library. Do I have to download and install it somehow, or does it come from somewhere? This is interesting. How can someone write C++? What is this? What does all this mean? Also, this example is a blocking one, meaning that it will wait until a client connects, so it wouldn't be able to handle multiple connections at the same time. Let's see if this works. So now I need to compile it again. What was the command name? G++. Fatal error. No such directory. How do I install Boost.Asio? I forgot to tell it. I'm on Linux. Okay, that is the code. And let's say I'm on Ubuntu. And let's install this. And then let's try to build it again. I got some errors. This does not seem promising. I got the following error messages when running compiler. You're missing the pthread library. So let's copy random code from ChatGPT and install it on our machine and try it again. I still got some errors because I was too quick to do it. So I will need to use this instead. But I didn't call it app.cpp. It's app.cpp. Okay, let's call it app, so it's gonna work directly from ChatGPT's. Okay, I got another error. Now I got this error. Alright, now we got some more stuff to install. It looks like the same code as before. Oh, but it's something different. Okay, yeah, it's something different. Great. And then we have to add lboost system. So let's copy this code. And now, hopefully it runs. Come on. No. Is that the same error? No, it's another one. Now I get this error. Okay, we got another library to install. Let's do that. Alright, and then we have to take this command and then compile it. And hopefully it works. Yes, we didn't get any errors. Let's run the application. Now, I guess it's running. So now the NGINX configuration is here. And we are listening on 8084. And the app is listening on 8085, presumably. 8085 is here. So now, if I run NGINX, then I should have a website at port 8084. Let's do that. So NGINX, sudo NGINX. It did something. Let's go to localhost 8084. Invalid HTTP response. I think I should verify first that NGINX is working. So what can I do? I got an error when trying to access 8084 on NGINX. Can you give me a simple example code that I could test the NGINX server with static HTML before trying to use my C++ app? Alright, I think I have this folder already because Apache uses it. So let's paste the code here and remove this one. And then let's go back here and see what happened. Nothing happens. I have to restart the server. What was the command? sreload. And let's try. Nope. I get this error when I try to open localhost 8084. Alright, let's see if NGINX is running. Inactive, dead. That does not sound good. So let's start it with this command. It failed. The server status is this. Address already in use. Let's try a different port. And let's restart the server. Now it's running. Okay, so now if I go to 87, I have the Apache page here. And it's Apache because I have Apache installed on the machine and I use the same folder for that. So now I have NGINX working. It took me, 10 minutes. So now I will change the code back to the forwarding one, so this one. And I will use 8087. And then I still have my app here running. And actually I got some clients here already. Interesting. So let's now run the sreload. And now let's go back here. And I get an invalid response again. But I get a connection for my app, but I get an invalid HTTP response. So should I send the headers in this as well? Let's see. I got the port forwarding working to my app, C++ app now. But I get the error in my browser. Do I need to send HTTP response headers in the app, or what is the problem? Yes, in order for your browser to recognize the response as a valid HTTP response, your C++ application needs to include the appropriate HTTP response header. A minimal HTTP response would include these headers. Great. So now it's adding them to my response. Great. So let's copy that part and try to add it in this C++ code. So let's say here, add headers to response and paste this here. And no hello world, I want the code. So response, let's say headers and HTML. So can I just do this? Just add it here. So I print headers here. I write headers to the socket, and then I write the HTML to the socket. And then I need to compile and run this app again. Now if I go back here, I get one little thing here. This is because I have to send the content length, and that's now 13 because hello world is 13. So how do I solve this? I have to set the HTML first, create HTML response, and then send headers, and then send HTML. And now here, the content length, I should get it from this variable. So I have no idea how to do that. How to, first of all, concatenate strings in C++ and then count the length of a string. So let's ask ChatGPT. How do I count the length of a string in C++? And how do I concatenate that into another string? You can use the length member function to get the length of a standard string object. So I have to set this length. So I will say here, get content length, and I will call it content length. And this one is HTML. And then I want to concatenate. So I just use the plus operator. So I'll just add here, end of quote, plus content length, and start of quote. Now it should work. So if I go back here and I quit this and I compile it again, I got an error. Invalid operands types const char 24 to binary operator plus. What? What is this? Cout concatenated. To string. I have to okay. So I have to convert it to string. So I can say standard string content length string is that. It's going to be content length. And then I can presumably concatenate the content length string into the headers. Let's do that. And Let's run again. And I get an error. Expected comma or semicolon before std. Okay. Run it. Yes! It works. Now let's run the app. I go back here and I should get the whole thing here. Yes! I have successfully built a website with C++. That is amazing. So it said something about not being able to do multiple requests or something. What does that mean? I'm pretty sure I can go to another tab, but they're not going to run at the same time. So if there's 2 requests at the exact same time, it's not going to run. Well, it's not a problem. No problem. Great. So what should we do next? We should do something more than a static website. Thank you. I got my C++ website working now. All right, now that we have thanked ChatGPT, let's do something more. Let's make a shopping cart on this website. So how should I do that? I want to create a shopping cart class. Can I make classes in C++? I think so. I think that's the whole point of C++. I would like to make a shopping cart in C++. Can I make a shopping cart class? Yes, you can definitely make a shopping cart class in C++. A shopping cart class would typically have the following features: container to hold the items, method to add an item, method to remove that item, and retrieve total number. Great, exactly. So this is how I create a class in C++. It has private items. It has public add item, remove item, get num items, get total cost. Okay, but I have to implement these. Continue. How do I implement the methods in the shopping cart class? All right, here we have the almost full code for the shopping cart class. So where should I put it? Can I just put it here? Shopping cart, add item. But I think I need to create an item, an item class. Can you create the item class as well? All right, we have just a name and a price. Okay, that's good. Okay, let's copy this one as well. So now we have an item and we have a shopping cart where we can add the items. So I also want to create an HTML table of the shopping cart. Can you add a method to the shopping cart class that outputs, returns an HTML table of the cart contents? And here we go. You know, I really like coding C++. It's not that hard. So let's copy this one and add it to the shopping cart. Could you give me a code example that creates a shopping cart object and adds 5 products to it? Okay, let's see now how this will be used. Cart add item. Item apple, banana, orange, mango, pineapple. Great, my favorite fruits. Let's do this. So I will copy this and I will add it here in the main. And instead of outputting to the standard output, the content, I will set it into a variable. I will say std string. I really don't like that it's called std. Standard string equals cart, get cart contents as HTML table. And then welcome to my C++ website. And I will add here h2 cart, and I will, can I just put it here like, sorry, I have to give it a name. Cart table. Save this, and then let's run it again. Need to compile it first, and I have some errors, lots of errors. Cart table. This, I cannot do this. How should I do it then? That's not a good way, but maybe it works. I think it did work, but I have more errors. Now, what does this mean? That is a crazy error. Let's copy all of this to ChatGPT. Or let's copy this code. What is the problem with my code? It's difficult to say without more information. However, one thing I noticed is that you are using the Boost.Asio library to handle TCP connections. You should use the Boost.Asio stream buff class to read the incoming request. Okay, that will be interesting later. Well, it didn't detect any errors in that, but how about if I tell it this? This is the error I got when I tried to compile it. The error message is indicating that there is no operator equals equals defined for the item class, which is used in the standard find function. So you need to define what it means something equals something when it's an item. Very interesting. So item boolean operator equals equals means that if the name is the same as the other name and the price is the same as the other price, then they are equal. That is amazing. Then you need to change the remove item function. Okay. Items erase. Wait a minute. Items. Yeah. Erase. Okay. You should also consider adding a copy constructor and a move constructor to the item class. Right, let's try if this works now. Let's compile it again. Yes, it worked. And run it. And let's go to my C++ website. And look at that, we have a cart here. That is great. Now let's add some styling to the cart because it looks pretty ugly. Alright, here we have a styled cart. Replace the old cart, the styled cart, and compile it again. And go back here. Now we have a little bit better looking cart here. So now we should be able to add some products into this cart. So let's just make a form here where I can put any name, any price, it will be added into the cart. So let's do it like this. I will add here above the cart, add item to cart HTML, and I will create it up here. Create add item form. So standard string add item to cart HTML equals form method post. How can I do this? Post and input type text placeholder name and price and give them some, and I will make this a bit shorter, and then I need a submit button. So this should create a form on top of the cart that says name and price and add to cart. And let's give this a size, and I forgot a semicolon here, colon, and I still have some errors. I need to add a semicolon here, and now it works. Let's go here again. Now we have this beautiful form here, and we can add something to the cart. I can put something here and put a price and add to cart. But of course, nothing happens now. So now I have to read the request and then process it. How do I do that? ChatGPT already told me that I can use the stream buff to read the request. Could you tell me how I can use stream buff to read the request? Alright, now we have the code here, and I at least need to add this include up here. And then this looks pretty much the same as before, and then I have to do this. So this reads the request. Let's add here read request, and then I will have a request string. Okay, so this gets the stream, and then it sets a variable request string, and then it puts the stream contents into the string. Okay, and now I have the raw request here. So let's put here just some debugging request string. And is that everything? Let's try. Yes, first try. Run it. I will refresh it with the post request already. So let's see. Post. It reads until this. But I think there is going to... Wait a minute. There's only post. What if I do it 2 times? Is it going to get the next line in the request? It is not. When I read the request of a post request, I only get post in the request string. You're only reading the first line of the request. The first line of the HTTP request, also known as the request line, contains the request method. Okay, so now it's gonna show me how to read the whole thing. Okay, so this should read the whole request. Let's see. So I guess I just put it here, and instead of void, this will be string, standard string read request, and I will return the request string. But this looks like exactly what I did. So this should just say, what is the socket? That is the socket. Request string equals read request socket. Read request. Now, did I have to change something else? Let's go back to the code. This part, is that the same thing as this? Yes. And this one is the same thing. Okay. I feel like that didn't do anything except what is buffer to string. Let's try this again. I am getting an error. Do I need semicolon here as well? And I need semicolon here. And I get errors. Buffer to string. It says buffer to string is not defined. You provided it in the previous example. You did not. Here it is. Buffer to string. Let's add this and let's compile it and we get an error. Request string. Now I get this error. Alright, let's try this code. So I will put it here. So now I don't need this buffer to string anymore. So read request of the socket and we set the variable and we set the request buff variable as well, which is a stream buff. And then we read the socket to the request buff variable. And then we get the request buff data into a request string and then we return it. And then here we read the request. And I have to say standard string request string instead. Let's see if this works now. It does not work. I have forgotten something. Here I am missing a semicolon again. I've been writing Python for the past couple of days, so I have forgotten about semicolons. So now it works. Now I can run it. Let's see what happened. Now, it is not stopping at all. It's just hanging there. So it doesn't know when to stop. When I use this function, the request just hangs. Why? The read function is a blocking function, which means it will wait until it has read something from the socket before returning. But I think the problem is because now we are not waiting for the new line anymore. Let me try this. Read until. So now it reads until the new line. Hey, now we have the whole thing. Yes. So now we get the whole request. Well, almost. For some reason it stops short here. And we only get the headers. What if I set here something, test, and then I send test? It's gonna read that, compile this and run it. Then if I go here and I send test, now it's gonna read, but it's gonna read more than that. That's very interesting. So before it only read until T, Y. That's weird. So now I get the whole thing. What if I don't send test? Is it gonna hang then? Yes. So I think there should be 2 of these. So now if I go here, actually it gets all of it. So now it works. So, okay. I don't know what was wrong with the first version, but now I just have to have 2 new lines and then it gets the whole request. Great. Now I have the request. Now I have to parse the name and the price from the request. How could I parse the form post data from the HTTP request? I already have the HTTP request including headers as a string. You can use library CPP HTTP library. You could also manually parse the request string. You can use the standard string find function to locate the start of the form data. Okay, so given the following request, how could I parse the name and price parameters from the request? First, you need to extract the body of the request. You can do this by splitting the request string on the first empty line. Well, yes, that is obvious, but how do you do it in C++? And now it's writing the whole request in the code. All right, now we get to the part where we split the string. Okay, here we have it. Let's copy this and let's say here, read parameters from request. Paste this here. Okay, and then parameters name will be the name and parameters price will be the price. This needs to be request string. So I will move this into its own function. So I will say standard, what is an array? Let's put this here. So map. Okay, so I have to say standard map get request parameters. And I give it a standard string request string. And then I do all of this stuff. And then I return parameters. So now I should have an array of, or a map of parameters returned from this. Then I can say standard map parameters equals get request parameters from request string. And then let me just put them here. So I say parameters name and parameters price. And let's compile it and check the errors. Map without argument list. Sorry, I have to do this. Do I have to add it here too? And here. Sting. It's string. Where did I say sting? Yes, it compiled. Now, let's see. If we actually get the parameters, we get test and nothing. Wait a minute. Test was what we wanted to get, but then we got nothing. Did I send anything? I did. An empty string. Why do I get only the name? For some reason, I get only the name value. Let me add one more. Actually, what if I add just here body? If I add here something, is it just not getting me the last one? So if I go here now, now it works. So what if I just add an ampersand in the end? Is it gonna work then? Arbitrary amounts of parameters. Great, now it works. So that's a bit of a hack, but I'm not afraid to use a hack at this point. So now I can read the request and then get the request parameters from the request. So now we have to save the new cart item from the request to some database or something. So let's do that. So let's remove this debugging from here and then add cart item from request. So if there is a name, how do I check if? How do I check in C++ if parameter name is set? Count method. All right, so I have to use this one. So if parameters count name is greater than 0, then we need to add it into the cart. So I will initialize the shopping cart up here. Create shopping cart. And then if we get the name in the request, then we add an item in the cart. And its name will be parameters name. And its price will be parameters price. Now I should check if the price is set, but you know, it's gonna be set. So now, if I refresh this, of course I have to compile this first and fix the errors. Okay, I think the problem we're having here is that price is a string. So how do I convert a string into no, it's not an integer. What is it? It's a double into a double. All right, let's use the first method here. std, string to double. Makes sense. So I have to say here price. Double price equals string to double price. And let's see if this will work. Yes, it worked. And now if I go here and I refresh, now I get my new with $4,234. Great. But of course, if I just go to the website, it's not there. But if I add it here, then it will be added here. So now I have to save this in some sort of database. So I think what we should do is we should make a function that can make like a serialized version of this cart, or like a JSON or a C++ SON of this. So let's do that. I want to make a method to the shopping cart class that can serialize the contents of the cart and save it to a file so that I can save it to a file. Okay, well, it created a very simple serialization. So it's just going to separate them with a comma, and like the name and the price are separated by a comma, and every product is separated by a semicolon. That's genius. Oh, or you can use JSON. I think I'll use JSON, it's better. Nice. I have to import some stuff. That's cool. Let's do JSON. Let's copy this and add it to the shopping cart class. Serialize. Do I need to like put it here because these are all the public? Okay. So this will serialize it. Great. And then this one can save it. So let's copy this as well. And let's create a void save. And then it will get the serialized cart. Can I say this serialized? I guess so. So we open cart.json and what is for? For. What does for mean in dump? Number of spaces for indentation. Okay. So now we can serialize it and then save it. So now we have to also be able to read from serialized object. How can I read the cart contents from a JSON? So it just created it for me. And it will return, it doesn't return anything. JSON file. So read the JSON file into a string. Parse the JSON and then add item. How does this work? Where do I put it? Is this a separate function? So I have the class shopping cart here, but then I have this, which is shopping cart read from JSON. Add item. Can I move this inside the thing? Public read from JSON. So we'll get the JSON file, it will read it, and if there's an error, it will return nothing. And I will say this dot add item. And then down here, I can just say cart dot read from JSON. And I will give it the cart.json. So now instead of adding this sample stuff here, I will read it from the file. And now I need to include this one. At least there was other stuff as well. I probably have to install some stuff and probably need to import OFStream. And what libraries do I need to include for all of this code? All right, so I need all of these. Fstream, Sstream, vector. How do I install the nlohman? Okay, let's just get this from GitHub. Okay, let's see. Now I'm including 2 JSON libraries. I'm not sure if I need to do that. But now let's create the JSON file, or let's ask ChatGPT to do it. Can you create a sample JSON file for the cart? Okay, here we have a JSON representation of the cart. Now it also added this total cost here, but I don't think it did that in the code. Maybe it doesn't matter. So let's create a file here, cart.json, and paste this in here. And let's double check that it is in the right format. Yes, items and then name and price. Great. So let's try to compile this and I get some errors. Okay. Sorry, I forgot to put the type of the function. It is going to be shopping cart. No, it's going to be void because it adds to this current shopping cart. Line 57. This serialize. What does that mean? Did you mean to use arrow? I don't think so. JSON has not been declared. In this function, I get the error JSON has not been declared. Using JSON. Like this. JSON root. What does this mean? Okay. Let's see if this JSON, I put it as capital letter. And then here I also have to say this add item, I guess. So now it's using a different, okay, because this read from JSON is using another JSON. Can you change this function to use the nlohman JSON library? No, but it was the same. It's just okay. So I think before it used 2 different libraries for the JSON, one for writing and one for reading, but now I ask it to use the same library for both. So let's see if this compiles now. It does not. 104. I guess it cannot use the same here to add. Let's call it this. We did it. It compiled. That is amazing. Then we run the app and we go back here and we don't send anything. We get a list. Now let's try and change this to something else. it works. So now it reads it from the file. So now we just have to save it to the file when we add something to the cart. So let's do that. So if something has been added to the cart, then we save the cart. Add item, and we say cart.save. And then let's recompile and run it and go here and say, this is a test 50. Add to cart. And we got it here, but it's URL encoded. Now if we go here again, bad gateway. We got a type error. That's a very good server. It crashes the whole server when something goes wrong. Cart.save. So let's check the save method. So I think the problem is in the serialize. Now I'm getting the following error. Here's my code. Pasted the save function and the serialize function. It looks like you are trying to use the pushback function on a JSON object, but it is only applicable for JSON arrays. To add a new item to the JSON object, you should use the square brackets operator to assign a value to the new. Okay, let's copy this. You could also use the mplace. Okay, let's try this version of the serialize method. And let's compile it and let's run it. And then we go back here. We still have a bad gateway. Wait a minute. I'm not calling it. Why do I get this error now? What did I change? Let's go back to where it worked. Alright, after a while of debugging, I figured out what was wrong. When it saved the new item here, it didn't use the items array. So that's why it can't read it again. So I have to change it here. So when I save it, I need to add the items. Can you change this function so that the items are in an array with the key items? Okay, this is the code I need. And then I will Control Z here to go back to the original one. And then if I compile this and I run it, now if I go here, now I have the original. And then I say, this is a test and 234, add. It adds it there, and if I go here again, it's still there. And I can add stuff here, and it will add it there. Great, and it updates the JSON file. So now here we have the other ones. Now I have to URL decode this. How can I URL decode a string in C++? Alright, that wasn't as easy as I expected until I found the right thing. So ChatGPT told me to use all kinds of different libraries. First it asked me to use CPP codec and HTTP library. And then I said, I don't want to build stuff. And then it said, well, you can use the OpenSSL libcurl to do it. And then it says, do it like this, and it didn't work. And then finally I said, can you please just don't use any libraries, just do it in C++. And then it spits out this beautiful code that will URL decode a string. And let's see if this will work. Paste it here, and I will remove my curl from here. And then I will compile the app. Hopefully it works. It works. And then I will run the app, and I will go back here, and I will add something to the cart, and it will be added, and I will put some spaces in there. Yes, now it works. Now I can add stuff in the cart. That is amazing. Now I have a C++ website. Isn't that great? Now, I'm not sure if there's any practical use for this thing, but it was fun to do and fun to learn to make my first C++ program. Now, of course, this is saved in the file, and if I open this in an incognito window, it's still there. So any visitor will see the card. It's not the card of the current visitor. So we should implement some sessions. Should we do that? Let's do that in the next episode if this video gets enough likes. So if you want to see me implement sessions for this website, please comment down below and like this video and subscribe, and then I will make that video. Because I've already been coding for 2 hours and 40 minutes, so this is enough. So I hope you enjoyed this video and maybe learned something, or maybe not. So if you like this video, please give it a like and subscribe to my channel so you won't miss it when I post another one of these crazy videos again. So thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.